Hey folks, and welcome to the Salty Seaman. I get asked a lot of questions on various videos and comments and during my occasional live Q&As. Can I join the Navy or just the military with X whatever issue going on? My main thing is I'm not a recruiter. I don't work at MEPS, never was, but I know a lot about it. I know a lot of people who've come through and gone. I worked at recruiting headquarters, which helps a bit. So I know quite a bit about it, and I think I can answer some very general questions about, things that are disqualifying. Now, before I get to that, I just want to thank Kyle Gott and his channel, currently running a best military YouTubers kind of round-robin tournament. I've already qualified to go on to the next round after the first round, so thanks to my viewers who voted for me. Sorry for the misunderstanding of how it works with Kyle. They're the bigger channels like Don Shipley and a Combat Veteran aren't in it because this is more for the smaller channels like myself. So kudos, pretty fun. Now with that out of the way, I let you guys know there's a statistic's been going around since I worked in recruiting, again at headquarters, not as a recruiter. 75% of the Americans cannot join the military for various reasons. And that's a scary statistic for a lot of people, especially those that want to join. Start thinking about all the different things they might have with them that could disqualify them. Hence why I get a lot of questions about it. So with that said, I'm going to break down a few most commonly asked questions I get about it and what I know to be the answer. Number one, age. One's pretty straightforward. If you can't join under the age of 17, and if you join at 17, you're going to need parental permission right off, unless you're emancipated, I suppose. So pretty easy one there. And you should at least have, of course, if you're 17, at least have your high school diploma or GED, which is not completely disqualifying, but it's a lot harder to get in without it. You need a waiver, blah, blah, blah. When you get to the top age tiers is where every service is different. Generally, from what I remember, the Navy is 35 as a rule. I believe the Marines are 30, and the Air Force and Army are both somewhere around that. However, there are caveats depending on the kind of job you're going to do. I know people who are already qualified doctors, they let in a lot later, especially those with specialties, and other people with higher degrees, up until their 40s. And this is especially prevalent when there's a wartime situation going on. Iraq, Afghanistan, when at the height of what was going on there, they were letting doctors sign up to become medical doctors in the military at 39, 40, 41, I believe. Mental diagnosis. This is a broad subject, and if you come in with all the different things it could be, I'm not going to know the answer. I know a lot of them do have difficulties. Some are outright off the table. Attention deficit disorder, is very, very tricky. I know this from a personal experience with a family member, but I would say that's mostly disqualifying. Again, if you disclose it, and I'm never going to tell anyone not to disclose what you have, because I'm not here to make people commit federal fraud. So, that's between you, God, and your recruiter. But I'll let you know, a lot of stuff, bipolar, schizophrenic paranoia, a few, there's, of course, stuff that, of course, they're not, even if you say, I was diagnosed with it one time, but I've gotten better, or it was a misdiagnosis. That's tough. And a lot of that stuff is just going to be disqualifying, and there might be a lot of little things you don't even think of that'll pop up, and you're like, I had a diagnosis with this, but, no big deal. You might not think it's a big deal, but it might be. So that's one, it's too broad to really get into like super detail on. But, remember at the end of the day, they're looking for everyone, all 10 fingers and toes, in good health, not overweight, mentally stable. Not necessarily mentally stable geniuses, but mentally stable. Another one, of course, injuries and medical issues, again, run the gamut. The biggest one I see people ask me about, and probably one of the biggest things, is if you've had a broken bone of some sort, which, if it healed normally with no extra parts, probably a pretty good chance you'll be fine. There's no showing in x-rays there's any other follow-on issues or possible issues. But if you have pins, screws, plates, this is where you're going to have some issues, okay? This is basically they have to determine based on your x-rays and your diagnoses, you're going to have to go before some kind of board for a waiver to get these approved. Because at the end of the day, once you're in the military and the VA that follows on has to take ownership of your medical problems, whether it was pre-existing or not. If they accept you with pre-existing, it's now the military's problem, and then when you get out, it's the VA's problem. So they're very hesitant to let people in who've got pins, screws, plates, and all that kind of stuff, and it's very dependent on what the doctors diagnose you as whether or not it's fit to serve or whether it's not fit to serve. You get other stuff like asthma. I believe if you had childhood asthma early on and you've later, you haven't been diagnosed with it after a while, you disclose that, you go up to MEPS or whatever, and they can find no symptoms of asthma in you, you can probably get that waiver. You have active asthma, yeah, you're probably just kind of shit out of luck. So think about these little things, maybe stuff you haven't even thought about before you got there. Other medical issues, GI tract issues. There's a gamut of stuff. Inner ear problem, especially with the Navy. There's a big one. Guy in my high school had that issue. He finally got in. He had surgery on his ears when he was young because it's not just the Navy, but I'm sure other services too. It's just because a lot of times you're on things that move around that could screw up your, it could give you vertigo or, screw up your inner balance. So that's another big one. You have to look out for eyesight. I came in nearsighted, and to a degree, I think, it's fine. If you're getting into the legally blind area, you're in trouble. Color blindness, not disqualifying from any services but the Coast Guard, but it'll keep you out of certain jobs. And that's another thing. I'm not talking about certain jobs here. They have different qualifications for a lot of different things. I'm talking about general entrance into the military. So yeah, those are things that, maybe you don't think about. Hearing, another easy one. Yeah, if you can't hear good, when you enter, they're probably not going to want to take you. It goes without saying weight. Military's not big on, there's not a lot of huge guys that join in. You get a bit of a mulligan on your weight. If you're close to the max, but a bit over, they assume you're going to lose it in boot camp, and then it's on you afterwards to maintain and not go back to that weight. But this is one easy to solve for some people. Depending on your condition. Again, medical stuff that might be causing it, diabetes, glandular issues, thyroid issues, those could be disqualifying anyway. So the thing here is, if you're overweight and you want to join the military, you got to lose the weight. That's the only way about it. And then, the trick is afterwards, keeping it off. In the less physical services like Air Force and the Navy, I've seen that a lot of people struggle with that. People who, got into shape before they joined, they went through boot camp, lost even more weight. But once they were out of that environment of hard physical training, it became easy to get lazy and complacent, and they had weight problems all the time through their service. So yeah, if you have any kind of weight issue, it's something to think about. Even if you were fat before, but now you're skinnier, or you're fat now and you say, I can lose the weight and join. Yes, but remember, that's something you're always going to have to keep your mind on. And of course, once you're in, even people who are skinny in their younger days are going to put on weight as they get older. It happens to a lot of people. But that's neither here nor there. What people might think about finances. Going into the military in debt is very much frowned upon. And again, this is going to be a situation of how much debt do you have? How much trouble could this be? You're coming in with $15,000 in credit card debt, and versus I have a car payment. No one's really probably going to care about you have a car payment, but something where you're just in a lot of debt. Maybe it's a mortgage payment, probably right out the bat. Alimony issues to a degree. We'll get into family stuff in a bit. But they don't want people in debt. They don't want people constantly struggling for money. And people with clearances, they definitely don't want to have financial issues because that just makes you very susceptible to people going to pay you money to give up secrets. So, for certain jobs especially, you have to maintain good finances. So if, one of the things I'd say before you join, make sure you try to clear up, any kind of outstanding debt. If you have debt collectors after you, anything like that, definitely not a good thing. You owe back taxes. They'll know about it. The basic background check isn't that all-encompassing, but they do find out a lot of stuff. And then especially if you go for any job with kind of clearance, they're going to start finding out more and more what you got going on with you in that situation. Speaking of criminal, like juvie offenses generally are not on your record, are generally sealed and not on your record as an adult. As far as I know, last I heard anything about it, maybe something about that's changed. As far as I know, pretty much not. Minor offenses, parking tickets, speeding tickets, no one cares. DUIs is where, once you get to that level, you start getting in trouble. And then once you hit felonies, you're pretty much done. They're not looking to take anyone with felonies for theft, assault and battery, obviously murder, child abuses of any kind of sexual convictions, sexual assault nature. These are disqualifying things. I mean, obviously. So it's the criminality aspect of it is something you got to think about. If you've never heard anything but a speeding ticket or whatever, don't worry about it. But otherwise, yeah, it's something to keep in mind. And it's not something you can really hide for a long time. The basic federal background investigation, there is no 7-year, waiver like it is with the civilian law enforcement. So if you had a DUI 7 years ago, it's off your civilian record. Federal will find it. So keep that in mind too. Now we talked about family status. You can join with a family. That is not illegal. Amount of family, where the family, divorce, paying alimony, child support, you can do it. Even single women with children can join as long as they give up custody until they're past all their training and are in the fleet or the field, and then they can go try to get custody back and get approval. But, as long as you give up, if you're a sole custody on either side, actually male or female, you're going to have to give up that custody to go into boot camp, to go to training. So, and if you're due with a wife and 6 kids, that might be troublesome. I can't speak for all the rules and regulations, and waivers change all the time depending on the needs of the service. That's a big one to remember too. On all these things, other than certain things like felonies and, disqualifying mental conditions and being overweight. But otherwise, yeah, there's a lot of wiggle room, believe it or not. But these are definitely things to look out for. And I would, if you got a wife and 2 kids that want to join, there might be some talk, but more than likely you're qualified everywhere else, especially if you're looking for a high critical job. They might look past it, but, it's always going to be up to the time you go in, the service you're in, what you're looking to do. All these factors play a bit. And lastly, just to touch on it, of course, before Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and before Don't Ask, Don't Tell, when it was actually illegal, your sexuality, not an issue anymore. However, there is the trans issue now, and I honestly don't know what, I don't think you can join going through transition, or if you announce I'm joining and then I'm going to start transition once I'm in, I think that's disqualifying. So if you're planning to join, and a lot of people, this is where complaints get. People say, oh, people are joining to get trans surgery. Well, people join for a fucking GI Bill too. I mean, the job has its perks, and that's how I always look at it. It's like, if you join up to serve, put your life on the line, and you get a few perks out of it, I don't have a problem with it. There's tons of people who out there get plastic surgery for free in the military. I'm talking like boob jobs and nose jobs to keep the plastic surgeons who are usually reservists in practice during their active duty time when there's not a war going on where they have to actually go fix combat wounded people and give them plastic surgery. So they go do all these, little jobs. I mean, they'll fix your, I know people have got boob jobs, nose jobs. LASIK's a big one. So to me, it's like, what's the fucking difference? You serve up, you do your time. But just keep in mind, if that's your goal, I'm not asking you to commit fraud. I don't know if it's on the paperwork. Are you trans or planning to be on trans? That's on the questionnaire. Hey, again, between you, your God, and your recruiter, So keep that in mind too. And there's a ton of other little things. I mean, I can't just go into every single detail of what is qualifying, disqualifying. And I never served as a recruiter, even though I served in recruiting. So they would know more. Absolutely, the first place you should go besides me and just a guy on YouTube talking is your local recruiter for whatever service you want to go into, and find out for them. And they're pretty discreet and will work with you on trying to get, any issues you might have taken care of. So so after you talk to me and watch this video, if you still think you want to go for it, go into the military, and maybe you got some issues, go talk to the recruiter and put it out right there on Mean Street. Hey, this is what's going on with me. Is it possible, ICE can still come in? And a lot of chances, they could probably work with you. Sometimes I might have to tell you no. So, at least get the final answer, not just from some dude talking on YouTube. So that's all I got for now. Salty Seaman is out. I got an idea for another video I want to do along with another military bullshit. I believe the winner of my poll was the final countdown by quite a bit of a margin. So I got to sit down and finally do the final countdown. So look forward to that coming up real soon. That's all the Salty Seaman's got for now. Hope you enjoy this video. All the normal stuff. If you like what you see, subscribe. If you're already a subscriber and you want to make sure you get all the videos I make, ring the bell, do the whole, alert squad thing. I forget what it's called. I'm so bad at this. But that's all I got for now. I love you freaks. Peace.